Good morning, good morning. How's it going, guys? Nice to have you with me. Glad you can join. We're going to take a look at some of the tickers that are coming out with earnings, and we're going to take a look at the overall stock market indexes and take a look at what situation they're currently in, what price is doing, and then we'll match it up with the charts that we're going to take a look at today, and maybe try to forecast what price is going to do before it does it. So we'll see how it goes. Good morning. Yeah, it's nice to have you with me. Very good. So first things first, we can see that we have a chart of the S&P Futures up. And we were talking about this last time with respect to price action, making a move to the upside and then breaking it to the downside. Okay, we did have an uptrend on the daily chart that has since broken right at a spot here. It has broken to the downside and it has produced some supply. So we are watching this chart now because it broke some supply. It's moving to the downside and price has been slowly creeping upwards. I've been posting the headlines from CNBC over the last few days because they've been posting some very bullish headlines with respect to the S&P. And I've been warning because if there is going to be any type of upside, we have to understand that there is a massive area of selling here. And how do we know that there's a massive area of selling there? Well, if you sift through the CFTC data and you take a look at the positions held by the institutions, if you take a look at that area and the date of that area when price was basing up there, that is where institutions were accumulating a short position. Okay, so we know that there's shorts up there because we can look at the data and we can see exactly what the banks are doing. So price declined and now it's sitting right here. As you can see, it's got room to drop. There is a major area of buying down here, so it's got room to drop, but it could also rally. So that is why our perspective is short-term rallies can take place, definitely, but the bias is a bigger move to the downside over the medium term. Okay, short-term rallies, no problem, but medium term, we're expecting more downside. All right, similar situation to similar situation with the S&P is the Nasdaq. We have, in this circumstance, we have an area of supply here, and price is sitting here. It's got room to drop, and it could also rally up towards this area of supply before dropping. Right now, it's just kind of sitting in the middle of the ocean, so depending on what forces come into play, whatever way the wind blows, it's going to move in that direction. But our bias is that we're going to see more downside, okay? Let me show you the weekly chart here. Here's the weekly chart. And so, clear that. So we had an institutional area of demand here that was removed. So that could have been used to propel price higher, but it was removed. Price dropped, and look where it dropped to, right down to this area of demand here. It officially hasn't come into the meat of that area, so there is a good chance that we'll see a retest of this area, and then after that, a push to the upside. So we'll be watching very closely to see how things play out in the weeks to come. The Dow Jones, it's looking pretty bullish. When we look at the monthly chart, weekly chart, we see upward structures looking pretty strong. Only thing is that on the daily chart, which dictates short-term momentum, price came down into a buying area. It could not hold, and it broke through. So this is reminiscent of what you're seeing with the S&P, okay? With the overall weakness, short-term demands being removed, overall weakness coming into play. Yes, can we get short-term momentum to the upside? Yes, that's possible. The structures on the higher time frames are not the most ideal for a continued move to the upside. So we're holding off on the Dow Jones right now and any forecasts because there's just not the elements that we'd look for sustained momentum. So what has to happen is there has to be new structures that come into the market. We're waiting for the banks to come in, reestablish some new sustainable structures. And when that takes place, then we'll be able to forecast what price is likely going to do. On the other hand, we have the Russell 2000 looking super, super good. Excuse me. So the Russell 2000 is looking super strong. We talked about this with members for quite some time. Down in this area here, we had located institutional buying taking place. And I said, watch over time the institutional buying coming into play here. And we're watching for a continued move to the upside. Okay. So that has since happened. We had an area that was working as a roadblock for some time. As you can see, we had this area be contacted several times. And it was contacted here, it was here, it was here, it was here. Finally, it broke through to the upside. And so now this is like a dam breaking through. Once the water dam breaks, then the current just flows through. And you can see what's taking place right now, okay, with price action. Once it broke through that dam, it's starting to release the pressure to the upside. So there's no telling how high this can go. According to the charts are telling us that the bias is to the upside. So small cap stocks, if you like to trade small cap stocks, look for some good buying opportunities because according to the index, it's looking pretty strong. All right, McDonald's. So McDonald's has been on our list for some time now. And looking for a good opportunity to buy if the chart presents itself with one. And months ago, we got a bearish signal here because we had institutional buying that was coming into place, and then what became the dominant force was selling. Okay, it came into play, and then buying came into play, and then selling came into play. So the last significant area that has been created on the charts, on the higher time frame charts, is selling. Now, yes, we've had buying, then selling, and then buying, and now selling. Could it switch back to buying? Yes, it's absolutely possible. So on the higher time frames, we don't have anything sustainable to dictate price right now. Okay, we had earnings come out just recently. Apparently they weren't that great. And you could see the data here wasn't very great. But then again, it's not surprising because the price of McDonald's food is just ridiculous. I mean, last time I saw what a meal went for, it was pretty shocking to me, considering the quality of the food. So it's not on my radar anymore for a long position. I wouldn't mind if it created something sustainable. I wouldn't mind buying in and holding it for a longer period of time. But so far, it's not giving me anything like that. Okay. Microsoft's weekly chart is very interesting to me. We had a long signal here on Microsoft, and that was at $398. It reached over 460, so that long signal was very successful. But now we have price coming into an area of buying here. And so we're watching for long signals. And I'll detail what those long signals are for the members only video after this one. So if you haven't done so yet, go to our X page or Twitter and like and even retweet if you want to the post where I made about this live. And later today, I'll choose one of you to receive the members only video. But this is looking pretty good. I want this to be on your radar. We have earnings coming out. When was it? Today. Well, it is today after the market. So after market closes. So we're in an institutional buying area. So logic tells me that we are likely going to see a move to the upside take place. Now, Could earnings come out and be a big surprise and then we see a big sell-off? Yeah, it's possible. What's the likelihood of that? Well, considering what's taking place on the charts, considering that we have an institutional buying zone that is in play, the chances that price drops through this buying zone is probably 20%. Okay, about 20%. The chances that over time we see a move to the upside is about 80%. Okay, about 80%. So there is that chance that it's not going to work, but it's high odds that it's going to work. So, but there's going to be a very specific signal that we're going to be watching for in order for us to participate in this trade. But it's looking pretty good. It's in demand. Earnings is coming out. That's an ideal recipe for a big, strong move to the upside. AMD, was looking at AMD. This is one that's been on my chart, on my watch list for a bit. We had a long signal here that worked out to perfection. Long here, targets up there. So now what's going on? We got earnings coming out at the end of the day today. We have price coming down to a higher time frame area of demand here. Has it contacted this demand yet? No. So it's possible that earnings comes out. It could be negative, it could be positive, but the likelihood is price will drop. Okay, that's the likelihood. Could it find support here and start accumulating? Yes, but in order for that to happen, we'd have to see that taking place on the chart. Could it be a long signal? Sure, it could be, but we need the long signals to be produced first before that takes place. Okay, Pfizer. I don't know how these guys are still in business considering what they've done, but they're still in business. And we got earnings coming out. It already came out this morning. So positive earnings, and what's happening with price? It is gapping up from $30 to $31. Not surprising. It looks like some buying has been taking place here since the lows. It hasn't really contacted any significant buying areas that I can see. So I would be very skeptical of how long this is going to work for, okay? Because we have a significant selling area up here. If price does make it up to the $35 area, I'm expecting to see a major sell-off take place from there. So if you like stocks to sell short, this could be a really good one. Although you'd have to wait for the sell signal to take place once that area of supply gets contacted. You just don't want to sell short when supply comes into play, because just because it was supply before doesn't mean there's going to be continued selling when price gets to those areas. So I'd play it safe and wait for the signal. Last but not least is SWKS. And they have earnings coming out at the end of today. And was looking at the higher time frames, and I could see that we're somewhat in a range here. We had price contact supply a couple times, and it also contacted demand down here a couple times. And so it's been staying in a range this whole time. What do I think is going to happen? Well, look, down, up, down, up, down, up. We're in the up area now. So it's likely we're going to see some downside. I would not be a buyer of this stock unless the range broke out and I saw some significant buying coming into the stock. Okay, so just be careful. This one's a big name. A lot of people like to trade it. I think over the very long term, we're going to see price move higher, but this range needs to break out for me to be excited to do that. All right, ladies and gents, that's it. I'll leave you with that. I'll start a members only video where I'll go into more detail. I will take a look at or discuss the trade signals that are available to us and what we're going to be watching for, and go into much more detail with members. Okay, so if you like and retweet the posts that I made on Twitter, you'll be entering to win this free video. Okay, until next time, I'll talk to you later, and I'll stop the stream now and start recording for members. Take care. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.